Good morning, Derek. It is
Well,
wonderful to catch up with you after how many years has it been?
I don't know, it's about 3. Is it 3 years? I can't remember.
It must be about 3 years since we last spoke. When you did that wonderful technique with me,
Oh, the Russian
Russian
doll
doll.
technique, yeah.
I know, yeah, we'll talk about that later. But Derek, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I was very excited to hear about your news that you have a wonderful book being launched on the 1st of March,
Yeah.
which is available to pre-order. But Derek, before I come on this call this morning, I was obviously making my notes ready for you. And looking back at the last decade for you in your hypnosis career has been absolutely outstanding.
Thanks.
You've gone from training in hypnosis in 2013. I believe this is your 10th year now. You've moved from a hypnotherapist and NLP coach into becoming a mentor, not just in anxiety, you specialize in anxiety, but moving on then into mentoring people in business, from actually developing your own techniques, as in Russian doll, having a very thriving and busy practice, to now moving on to becoming an author. It's absolutely been incredible for you, haven't it? So the book, 7 Steps to Saboteur, Saboteur, have I got that right?
Long
To
title.
Saboteur.
Turn sabotage to success in just
Success. And the
7.
reason why I was looking forward and excited to interview you on this one, because more recently I'm seeing things in the coaching world which is poo-pooing self-sabotage, stating that it doesn't exist.
Mhm.
And looking at, I think the lines are very blurred between actually what self-sabotage is. So when you got in touch to say about this book, I was like, oh my God, that's just absolutely amazing, because I know this book is going to answer a lot of questions for people. What gave you the idea then? So why did you think I'll write a book on this?
Well, the thing is, I've always studied self-help since I was about, God, how old am I now? 64. And it's an optical
Wow.
illusion. It's no filters, it's real. But I've studied self-help since 1984, self-help books in particular. Then I became a hypnotherapist. But one thing about this book is it's written in a way that's engaging. So I hate these books. You pick them up and you go, so it's like it's got stories in it to keep you hooked, and the true stories about clients who come to see me who've gone through the techniques, the 7 processes, which are how we sabotage ourselves. So if you're a client or anybody who's got kids, you can use it on your children too. Uh,
Right.
as you can first of all find out where you are, because there's resources, a resource link within the book, so you can get an audio download. You can actually gauge where you are, because everyone's sabotaging themselves. We really do as human beings. And if someone doesn't, they're either I'm not going to. They probably could be a psychopath or dead because we do sabotage ourselves on a daily
Yeah.
basis. We
Yeah.
do. It's a normal human condition.
It is.
So,
Yeah.
so when
It
you
is.
find out the book, going through the book, it tells you exactly where you are, and it'll give you a score. And from that score, you can see that's your beginning, and you can see the end result. And we were all a work in progress. So people say that they're the finished product, then I'd love to meet them.
Yeah. Do you know, I mean, it's interesting you saying that. I mean, I've just been venturing more into working and studying more into the menopause. And the person I've trained with is outstanding in his research and everything he does. And at the end, he says, and I'm no expert,
Yeah.
and really humble. I like that. You mentioned that the book is going to have based on client stories. And one thing I've always admired about you, Derek, is your client feedback. I do believe when you go do a search, Google search for you, you must have hundreds of testimonials of clients that you've helped over your career as a hypnotherapist and NLP coach. Um, when you talk about you've chosen 7, that must have been quite difficult for you to choose just
Yeah.
7 to put that into the book. What inspired you then to kind of use these people and
Well, I
their
think
situations?
the reason why I did the whole book in the first place was because I discovered that technique I created, the Russian doll technique.
Right.
I discovered
Just
that.
for the viewers who don't know what Russian doll is,
Yeah, it's
mine
that.
are on my desk.
But and naturally, I always keep one handy there for the clients. It's a little teeny one I use for them.
Oh, lovely.
This would, it's quite funny how people say, I can't imagine going that tiny Russian doll. Yeah, but they can imagine the anxiety, can't they? All that
Mm,
horrible suffering we do. That's just imagine too. So I use it as a metaphor for change.
yeah.
And so the reason why I wrote the book was because my dad was, and that behind the whole thing, my dad had cancer, and he was dying, and I thought, oh my God, and I was suffering, and I thought, well, hang on a second, how come I'm suffering? He's dying. And in
Yeah.
that moment, you get that aha moment. Well, I had the aha moment, which is like, I'm suffering, he's dying, he's been a great father, and I was doing that condition I call POM. And the clients will say, "What's POM?"
Yeah. Poor me.
Of me. and and then I thought, how can I change this? It's a good question to ask yourself, not why am I like this, but how can I change this? So
Yeah.
in any situation we have as human beings, yeah, our suffering is caused because we don't want to feel the emotion.
But you had those skills, but in the same breath, even though you've been a very successful therapist, you still had to recognize that you're a human being.
Mm. And when anyone's suffering, they're in the issue. They'll say it's my anxiety or hi,
Yeah.
they'll identify with their condition. So
Mm.
what they're doing, they are, in the technical term, you're associated, you're in it, you're like in it. You cannot
Yeah.
get because we have thoughts all the time, and sometimes as
Mhm.
people, I was speaking to my partner the other day, and was he said, "Oh God, I was really upset because this didn't go well." I said, "Don't worry, that'll pass." But when you try to analyze it, and go, "Why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling that?"
Yeah.
The thought just goes away by itself, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
funny, I said, "What's it like today?" Then, "Oh, it's gone now." I said, "I had the same thing there. God, someone really disappointed me." And I said, "Well, what can I take from this?" So I did the
Yeah.
Russian doll technique on myself this morning out of the shower. And now it's gone. And do you know, but I changed the Russian doll technique because the person who disappointed me, I know people don't know the Russian doll. If you do, you'll get it. But if you assume their position and see what it'd be like from their point of view, I can see why now, and I'm not disappointed. And that's all it took.
Yeah.
They call it meta positions, or different
Meta
perspectives.
positions. I like to call it being objective. So it allows you to be kind of subjective,
Yeah,
objective in a very
objective.
subjective
Yeah,
situation,
if
really.
if
Yeah.
you're and think, don't forget, if you're objective, you can't be in here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Our problems occur when we're in here, and we
Yeah.
don't know, and we stop
Exactly.
listening. "Oh, I've tried that and this didn't work," and, and then we start getting they go smaller and smaller. The world becomes smaller and smaller because our like the tiny Russian doll.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, the books are, it's not your average self-help book.
I was just going to ask because I know, do you know, the coaching therapy world online right now is so conflicted. There's so many different views. Don't do that, do this. This doesn't work. Listen to me.
Yeah.
No, don't listen to him. Listen to
Mhm.
her. And it's like they've got so kind of
Rigid.
immersed in their own kind of egos. And I'm not mentioning anyone in particular here. But why this self-help book? What makes yours, what would you say, different to anyone else you've ever read? What do you think?
Because there's actionable steps that actually work, and there's
Right.
you'll see me, well, hear me, 'cause it's almost like a journey type thing. I hate that cheesy word, but it's a journey on the client's journey.
Yeah.
There's 7 clients who made massive changes to their lives, who would never have got where they are today without
Yeah.
using the techniques I showed them. So I'm showing other people how they can change too. And I think when people know they can change and there's something that can help them, then it's our belief that changes, nothing more. And then the world changes, doesn't it? Because our beliefs have changed. We
Yeah.
get a different filter. Well, they changed. Like even the Roger Bannister when we did the 4-minute mile. Yeah, no one thought they could do a 4-minute mile, but then otherwise, oh, we can do a 4-minute mile because he did it. So it's the
Yeah.
same sort of premise, really. It's just a belief. At the end of the day, we have beliefs
Yeah.
all the time. Some
People
can say
don't
this.
kind of break their own boundaries, do they? Don't believe they can. And there's a number of reasons, we know a number of reasons why people don't push themselves, do they? For many, many different
Fear,
reasons. So
avoid.
with the thing you said, it's a book in 7 steps.
Yeah, well, the 7 steps to the
Mm.
saboteurs, and there's 7 stories within the book.
Mm.
There's also a framework that you can use for yourself to move on. I mean, the 7 saboteurs off the top of my head is the client. You'll see this in the clients who come to see you, and they'll do their thing, and it's no wonder people are in that mindset because the top one they've got is hypervigilant. So they're hyper. Oh my
Yeah.
God, this happened, what happens? And no matter what you tell those people, you could be a parent of one of those kids, and they go, "Oh, I'm frightened of this and frightened of that." And no matter what you tell them, they can't hear because they're already frightened. Literally, it could become like a
Yeah.
belief. Well, I'm frightened because, and become hypervigilant. When's the shoe going to fall to the other foot? And they're just waiting for the next disaster. And then you have the victim. The victim's almost like they did the blame game. Oh, that didn't
Yeah.
work for me. That
Mm.
so nothing works for me, and I went to see them, and that didn't work, and all that sort of jazz. Then you have the
Mm.
hyperachiever. The hyperachievers, those people who will get a self help book, and they'll skim through it, and they go, "Yeah, didn't seem to work that one." Another one didn't seem. They don't take it on, but they'll just glance at it. They'll do the next course, and they'll do the next course, and they'll think, wow, it's so crap. This they haven't fully engaged or committed to, and they want to elevate themselves. They don't think they're very good, and they go, "Oh, this makes me feel good." It's all status orientated, you know.
Yeah.
And the
It reminds me of
avoidance.
that fish
Right?
in Finding Nemo.
Say again.
Reminds me of the fish in Finding Nemo.
That's a 6 second thing when you forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bing.
Yeah.
Oh, wine.
Yeah. And then you have, I won't go through every saboteur, but they're in the book. And there's the
Yeah.
avoidant that, like I saw a client yesterday, a therapist actually, and he wants to come and see me. And it was interesting how people can't see what's under their nose, and we do it all the time because this burger brain here, as I refer to, only just 7 things consciously. The rest is all out of our peripheral
Mm.
vision, and we just don't notice it's there. And I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Well, I just don't know. I want to change my career. I want to get to the next level. I want to move things up." And something's stopping me. I said, "Really?" And he wanted me to do some sort of magical intervention. And he'd been to like a top therapist. I won't mention names, and it didn't work. And I said, "Interesting." I said, "Have you looked around your room there? I can see a bottle there." He says, "Oh yeah." And there's something over there in that room there because it was over Zoom. There's a bag hanging, and he goes, "Oh yeah." And he started to open up. He said, "Yeah." And the corridor there, I haven't leaved that corridor for a while. Interesting. I said, "So now you're noticing that, yeah?" Because he wanted to go to the next level. And I said, "Unless you change where you're at now, you're gonna have the same sort of response when you go big time, let's say, because unless you get the fundamentals right, you'll our brain will copy and paste it." And the reason why his biggest fear is like, "Oh, well, if I get really big," he uses this metaphor, like, "I'm spinning the plate, spinning the plate." So he's trying to spin the plates, but if you're not missing the finer details, yeah, whatever you do in one area, you'll do it all the time. So you need to change now, because as human beings, whatever we do, if we're doing it like this, even remote control, we'll do that every time. Bit of a simple thing to say, but anything you do, you'll copy and paste another area of life. If you're doing something bad here, you usually do bad there. And I said, you need to get your fundamentals right. And I think the penny sort of sunk in. And he was like, he said, "Oh, I don't know." He's like, "I came from work, I have a bottle of wine, and I have another bottle of wine. I don't know why it's going nowhere." Because he's avoiding the reality of actually getting off his bum and tidying things
Cluttering
up.
at that base level. You mentioned the 7 steps with the 7 clients. Um, and you say these have come from situations you've kind of worked with over the years. And like I said, I've seen all your reviews. You've got hundreds and hundreds on Google and on Yellow Pages, Yellow Pages as well.
You know, it's 199, I think, and then there's
Oh, it's hundreds. The
80.
last time I looked, there was hundreds.
Facebook's 80, so I don't know, it's about 300. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot because you know it is, and especially in the type of work we do. After what some people go through, it's not exactly the type of thing you can say, "Oh, by the way, where'd you put that?" Or, "Do you leave a review for me?" It's very kind of personal, isn't it? You know. So the 7 stages to success. Now, earlier on, I said to you there are some coaches out there that are saying that self-sabotage does not exist.
Impossible.
I've tried to look at a way, right, of how they could possibly, is there something I've missed? You know, if we missed something, is there a reason why? And I can't find a way how we would say that self-sabotage doesn't occur when we truly understand the subconscious mind as well.
Yeah, it does exist. I mean, we sabotage ourselves on a daily basis.
Mm,
If we get out of bed and we're a bit late and we say, "Oh God, I should have done this," should have you're sabotaging yourself. If you are watching too much Netflix and you go, "Oh God, I should have done this," you're sabotaging yourself. You're drinking too much wine and and you know what's right, and then you're sabotaging yourself. You're doing. If you're avoiding going somewhere, you're sabotaging yourself. And we
yeah.
and we don't know it because we live this in this little mindset that we think is right or wrong or fair. The other saboteur people find in this the pleaser.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So the pleasers try and please everybody else, and that's sort
Yeah.
of I liken the pleasers. You drive in your car, and that someone said, "Oh, right, mate, you can go there." You let them go, and then
Yeah.
they don't thank you, and you go, "You bugger." Do you know what I mean? So we take it on a deep level. So we get quite resentful. I did this from, I did that from. I mean, the pleaser can be like that. I'm not saying you're like
Yeah.
that, but a lot of people. My partner's a pleaser.
Do you know? I don't have the. I'm one of those. I'll give to people. I'm never bitter about it later.
That's good.
It's very rare. I'll give out to me. I've given. I like Dr. David Hamilton's theory on it when you're passing it on.
Yeah.
People are very kind to me too, so I like to think that I'm just passing things on.
There's
And if
some people that they'll pass everything, and nothing they get.
yeah, I know. And it's a tough one because a lot of therapists go into it with that externalization identification kind of
Oh yeah, you've got to help that
persona, you
person.
know. Yeah, I know.
I,
So
I,
the
I never use the frame help. It's assist. I hate the word help.
help.
Because
Yes.
if they help, they're drowning, and I'm not there to help them. There for them to change, not for me to,
Yeah.
"Oh, do that magical stuff." They have to own their change.
Yeah.
And that was it, 'cause a lot of therapists go, and a lot of clients, even a couple of weeks ago, this guy said to me, he says, "Well, I'm concerned about seeing you." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, will it work?" I said, "Well, what's the it?" And he kept on saying, before he came to see me, he sent emojis like, "Oh, I hope this works. I hope this works." And I did a little video of him. I'll play the video, not of him, but you can hear him speaking because I'm keeping his privacy. Where are we? I won't mind it because I showed him another video. I said, "How do you know you've changed, by the way?" Well, I showed him a video of a girl who had her saboteurs were 86 on a scale of 100. No, it was 10. Sorry, 10 is bad. Not going to ruin your life, but 10 is not very good. Her saboteurs were hypervigilant, victim, and all the worst ones you can get, which will influence us. And I thought, God, she's changed. It's really bizarre. I said, "Do you mind if I do a video of you?" So I did a video of her, and she was so confident. Every time she came to see me, her mum was in the porch over there because she was so frightened. And she actually giggled because she said, "I speak so quite frightened." I said, "What's different now than what you've done?" She said, "Well, it's not about changing how you think about things, it's how you feel about those things." And I thought, well, yeah, it's quite profound if you hear it from the client's point of view. So I showed him the video. He said, "How do you know you've changed by by the end of today's session?" He said, "Well, I'll do a video like her." So here he is, living here. How do you feel before we do anything today?
Just quiet, just feel like nothing's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Everything just seems dark all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't feel motivated to do anything. Just feel shit, really.
Okay, cool. Technical time. Okay, this is after the first session. How do you feel now?
Feel a lot lighter myself.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like I can deal with my thoughts a lot more.
What about the anxiety?
Yeah, I think it's played quite a lot, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. So is it there?
No.
Oh. What happened to that then?
What?
Oh,
Happy.
just wondered. Okay, cheers. And so, in other words, I now show it to my other clients who are doing this thing called anxiety. Because when you're in it, like you don't know you're doing it.
Yeah, no, I know.
All I did with that guy there, I think we did the Russian doll technique, and that was him. He said, "Can I come back and see you?" And so I can be in a deep hypnotic trance. I said, "Well, if you like, you know what I mean, I can do that if you like, but I don't think you'll get any benefit from it. But you can do that if you want. I can do that. 1, 2, 3, and you're out cold." But I mean, it helps some people. The deeper you go, the better you may feel, but it doesn't really change your issue. You'll still have the issue, if you know what I mean. Does the depth of change really help?
Mm,
Yeah. So anyway, that's I was showing him that's a typical client comes to see me. I don't do a one session miracle. Although he came for one session, he still
mm,
needs to work on his confidence.
yeah. You doing okay now? Have you heard back from him?
Yeah, I said, "How's it going now?" He said, "Well," I said, "What have you noticed is different?" So I went to work, and I actually enjoy work now. And his friend said, "God, you're so much more positive." Because when someone's anxious, they're quite negative, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. You're in
And
that
so,
kind of
yeah,
energy
and
state,
he
aren't
was
you?
quite uplifting and stuff. He said, "Well, I've decided to come off my meds." I said, "Don't do that." So I've only been for 3 months. I said, "Well, go and see your doctor first." But he said, "Well, I'll reduce them." So he reduced them.
Yeah.
I can't force people to do what they want to do, but I don't
No,
find it
true.
might have a bad effect on it if you come off them.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
the question? Did I answer that question? I can't remember. We just waffled. Have I waffled away?
I don't know now.
I don't know how to go and decide.
No, but as you were playing that video, you made me realize that when we were doing our kind of anxiety training with you
Yeah,
and those mentoring sessions that we used to have a few years ago online, we talked about taking photos of clients' faces before and after, of course,
yeah,
with their permission, you know.
okay,
They weren't to show anyone, just for them. And it's something I stopped doing, and I wish I continued to do it because it is the look after set people's faces are lighter.
yeah,
Light starts to come back on in their eyes, obviously depending with the level of trauma you're dealing with, you know, when the end of the therapy sessions come, the difference on their faces and lighter, freer, somebody, I'm like a different person.
yeah. It's like when I think I had that thing because I did it because there's one guy who came to see me. It's on one of my videos, and his face is all sort of there's like deep grooves in here on the forehead, and he's been doing that stuff for 40 odd years, and that was his face. And to see the guy change it was I thought this is bizarre. I used to take a picture of clients before and after. I've stopped
Yeah.
now. Only people that want to. And in fact, he features in the book. He actually said, "I don't mind." he's quite an open book, so that's why I showed that little testimony of him. But this guy, before was like, he's like Mr. Worry, you know. And afterwards, it's like everyone's like, God, I can't believe it. The woman I showed on Friday who came to see me, she goes, I can't believe it. And people say, is it photoshopped? Has he had Botox? So, well, Botox takes about a month to kick in. That was instant, same shirt, same room, not photoshopped. Why would I Photoshop stuff? And it's really bizarre how people change. And the weird thing about that image, though, is he's raising his eyebrows and there's no wrinkles. Because
Wow.
even me, when there's a bit of crinkle there, let's see. But he had none. And it's
Yeah.
like, and the reason, the only thing is when you change on the inside, it reflects on the outside. You feel good about yourself. It sort of shows, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you just reminded me of one of my favourites, Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Mm.
He came
Yeah,
up with
he's
that
good,
saying,
yeah.
when you change the way you look at things, the
Things
things
you
you
look
look
at.
at change. But looking at that as an external, when you look at it internally, when we change the way we feel inside, we look years
Exactly.
younger even, do you know? We look years younger. And
And we're always a product of what we think about. That's all.
yeah,
And we're a product of what we think about. If we think, oh, God, that's really bad, then suddenly it'll be bad. And then the weird thing about human beings, they don't know they're thinking their thoughts at any given time. So they're watching TV and they go, oh my God, I had a panic attack watching EastEnders. Was it
yeah,
scary? No, but I just started to cry or whatever. Because it's like a trapped emotion there. And that's all
yeah,
it is. And because we're unaware we're thinking. So maybe I'll do
yeah,
the heavy hand and light hand thing and say, oh, that's not real, is it? You know, just like that thing you have in your chest. If they can
yeah,
like that, people can get free of it a bit.
yeah. Do you know when we look at I'm noticing particularly in the last few years with what we've been through, and this is globally, but I'm noticing in the UK a lot of people who are just wanted to talk,
Mm,
um, and just go away and not do the work. You know,
mm,
when you say something like 7 steps, we can change your life. Seven
yeah.
steps, you can make these profound changes.
Mm,
These are not just opinion focused, as you know, you've lots of very successful clients over the years.
mm.
Have you ever had anyone when you've met with negativity or no, 7 steps?
Yeah,
It was that simple, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, all the time. Because then,
Yeah.
if you're running a negative mindset, it's almost like
Mm,
if anyone's watching this, yeah, and they've got some sort of anxiety, check in. Is your thought process negative? Are you really positive? So you're working on that because I remember I used to do lots of anxiety, and that's why I came into this profession. I think because I said social anxiety. That's
yeah.
what these days I didn't even know it's called social anxiety. I just thought,
It's
well,
called, yeah.
that those people were better than me, but in reality they're not. It's just I created this, and I'm blaming them for
Yeah.
you're small.
The book that you've written, the 7 steps, for me personally, reading that title, I've got quite a dyspraxic brain. I need to rein things in for the way I am. And 7 steps, that sounds easy. Oh, I
Mm,
can do 7. That's not too much. It's not like changing 101 ways to do it. No,
yeah,
7 steps. Oh, I'm curious now. Do you know? I
yeah.
am generally curious as well. Um, Especially because I've been not involved in online debates about saboteur. So 7 steps. Why the number 7? Because I know you're quite a spiritual person as well. Did you choose the number 7 for a reason, or?
It sounded like a good fit, but having said that, though, when I see people, I do show them 7 different techniques.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So it's the 7 techniques we're using with the client as well. And that there's 7 client stories, so there's 7 clients, and the number 7 keeps appearing. But I think also the 7 steps is that the questions, but that's what it seemed to fit. You know, it's like
Yeah.
but you can change, but and there's also like a proviso. Okay, so people like you were telling me that person they change and they go back. I call it the badang factor. That's what we call it, don't they?
Or the default mode or whatever psychology calls it. Yeah.
Because
It's
it feels familiar.
exactly.
That's all. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we need to work on ourselves all the time. So, are we a finished product? Will the 7 steps change my life? Yes, they will. If
Yes.
if you reinforce them, yeah, they will do. It's
Yeah.
like politicians do this. That's an anchor, a physical anchor.
Yeah.
You'll see Trump do this. I said this at so and so. The English politicians do exactly the same, and they lie through their teeth. Not dissing, you know. But I mean, the
Yeah.
seven
We
steps.
won't we
First, we
won't
need
talk
to know
about
where you're at.
politicians.
But I think as you
Yeah.
notice, the step one, number one, is need to know where are you.
Where you're at, exactly. But you know what, something I always say to my people is, does it work? It works when you do it.
Yeah. One thing is, if you think about it, someone says, "Will it work?" That's the guy who actually had that video just came to my mind because he was one that, "Oh, I hope this works." And I said, "Well, I've seen over 8,000 people, and I've now learned one important factor on this." He said, "What's that?" I said, "Well, it's not me that changes. Do you want to change? Because change is
Yeah.
inevitable. We change all the time as human beings. We, our skin sheds and our nails grow and stuff like that. And so, if someone says they can't change and they're static, well, I would say, what's really holding that person? How come they're holding on to this belief that they can't change? It's just a belief. Question
Mm,
the belief. What's keeping you stuck there?
mm,
What have you got to gain where you are now? Because everyone can change, really can.
mm.
Negative's holding you back, and you haven't even considered it because we only see what we think is in front of us.
Exactly. Exactly. And as you said, what feels familiar?
Yeah, and we get comfort in the familiar, like a little
Yeah.
hot tub.
Even when it looks uncomfortable to other people on the outside, we go to what we know and perceive to be.
And when the worst thing is with people, they'll have some form of change work, yeah, and they'll do a little tiny bit, and they go, "Don't know, it really worked," and they go back to where they were. Like that
Yeah.
hot tub that means so, but it's not a hot tub; it's a lukewarm one. It feels so familiar on one side. It's very limiting. There's like egg smells and horrible smells. It's really quite damp, but it feels comforting because that's all we know, and it
Yeah.
feels safe. What we tend to
Yeah.
do as human beings, we'll run over it, feels a bit uncomfortable. But the big news alert is this: when you're feeling uncomfortable, you're changing.
Yeah. So I would say the title, when you said, I was like, totally grabbed me. I thought 7 steps. That sounds easy.
Mhm,
Let's make it easy. Yes, we got to do the work,
mhm.
but we can look forward to the process.
It's not difficult, it really isn't. If you
So
apply
I mean,
yourself, you'll feel successful, you really do. I mean, there's
mm,
evidence to support that. Those people have changed their lives, and I've checked back in. There's a guy, they're real client stories, and one's he won't mind me mentioning, Luke. And what did he have? He stopped smoking, stopped reduced his drinking, had a fear of flying off the scale, and now he flies comfortably, and he got me a present at Christmas, actually. He came round on the 23rd, I think it was.
lovely,
Yeah, nice guy, and, he wants to know when the book's out 'cause he's
lovely. It is all about recognizing where we're at in the moment. And as much as the knowledge and experience I have personally, there are still times when we need, yeah, actually, I need assistance here. Thank you very much. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's being open to admitting this is where I am, this is what I need to be. What's the journey in between?
exactly. I mean, the girl who came to see me Friday, I think she took about 4 years to come to see me, and I said to her, "By the way," even the other guy, same day, I said, "Do this assessment. I guarantee the reason why you're not changing is one of your saboteurs will be the avoider, and the
Mm-hmm.
other one will be the hyperachiever." And you see the conflict there. He wants to do stuff, wants to have a glass of wine, want to be famous, but no, I'll sit on the sideline. So it's a
Yeah,
conflict. And the
yeah,
girl that came to see me, she will be the pleaser. I said, "By the way, do you please?" Yeah, you got me in one. And I don't, she's a pleaser and pleasing everybody else apart from herself. And she's keeping it all in, eat with food, and
yeah,
you'd be hyper vigilant too. Everything makes me frightened. I said, "Are you asthmatic?" She goes, "No, I smoke and I'm a fat bird." That's what she said. And I said, "Okay, great." I said, "Do you want to learn to relax?" She goes, "Never relaxed in years." I said, "Well, I'll show you a quick way to doing it." I think it took about 2 minutes. Notice how your breathing is. Oh yeah, that weird thing you experience is called being relaxed. Because people think they'd be in a coma to do it. They don't. You can do it with your eyes open. In fact, you do. You spend most of your life with your eyes open. Why don't you do it relaxed? It's quite easy trick to learn. Yeah, that's in the book as well, actually.
yeah. So the book then, when is it going to be launched? The
It'll
big
be on
question.
the 1st of March. If people want to
First
send
of
me,
March.
I'll
That
put a
makes
link
me
on here.
smile. St. David's Day.
Cool. I'll put a link under the video. It'll be on YouTube if they want to get
Right.
it.
Can we pre-order the book?
You can for me at the minute, yeah, because I haven't put it on Amazon
I'm
yet.
going to sign up then. And Derek, tell me, I am flabbergasted you're looking so amazing today
Mhm.
because you were up till 1 o'clock this morning. What? You emailing all your clients, all your
Yes, so I've
customer
got
base?
600 people who bought one of my products, so I had to send them an email out to sort of say we're
Yeah.
transferring it to another platform on my website. So somebody sent me an email saying, "By the way, it went to spam this morning. So if anyone's bought the Awesome Therapist, the Russian Doll Technique, the Anxiety Wheel, or any of those audios, you can get them from my website. But then send me if you purchase. I know who's purchased it. Just send me if you didn't get the email I sent you. I'll send you a code so you can get it. It's like a one-time code so you can get in and then create a password and you can get it for life.
You said some of your emails were going to spam. I know I had that problem from you
Yeah.
this morning too. I was looking for Derek Chapman. Is it coming from your mindset business name?
Yeah, mind coach. So this Google.
DC Mind Coaching. Okay,
Yeah.
so your previous students can look for DC Mind Coaching in their emails. If not, check the spam box. There will definitely be an invite in there with a special code that they can pre-order. Is that right?
It might say Grimsby Hypnotherapy to confuse them. The company name is DC Mind Coach Limited,
right.
but my website is Grimsby Hypnotherapy. But if you just Google my name, you'll find me out.
Come up straight away then. So yes, so we can pre-order it. I'm off to do that now. I'm really excited.
Cool.
And it's been wonderful as ever seeing you
Thank
today.
you for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. I've enjoyed it. Is there anything else you want to add before we finish?
Not really, no. And remember, you get what you focus on life. Just why don't you focus on something good for a change? That's my party.
Exactly. And you know what I'll be looking forward to is people who are going to purchase the book, they're going to read the book. And if anyone's going to do that and go through the process, I'd be very interested in having short interviews with them to give some awesome feedback as well. It's always lovely to get that feedback, isn't it?
Good idea. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Derek. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.